Millions has made me a special edition Karate Combat Champion shirt, and I couldn't be happier. I'm just thrilled with this. So it's links in my bio. Go check it out. If you want a shirt, go get one.
It's like the mafia. Yeah.
No, I mean, it's important feedback from you, Jay. And I'm not trying to take it personally, but I try to be accessible and engage with fans, especially on X. And some of my broadcast partners, Joe Rogan, chief among them, their profile is so high and they are so famous that they can't possibly engage with the fans on a regular basis. Even somebody like Daniel Cormier, right? So you got to post and ghost a little bit, right? But for me, I try to be that accessible conduit for the fans. And what I'm finding is that 90% of what I am sifting through is negative. And a lot of those comments are said in an antagonistic, attacking type of way. And so I got 3 kids and just better things to do with my time.
No doubt.
But again, I'm trying to be, especially after a fight like this, I want to be able to engage. But when I see the venom that some people are coming at us with, it just makes me disengage. So I guess maybe my thesis statement should be, if you see me disengage and not be as omnipresent and as accessible on X, it's because the fan base is starting to turn me off. And Mark Raimondi had a very thoughtful post about this on Instagram. This sport is getting worse by the minute in terms of all the negativity in the air.
It's a sign of the times, right? It's a sign of the collective of kind of how people are in general. Like this country is more separated than ever, all this stuff. But
I know exactly what you're talking about, Mr. Anik. Years ago, when the UFC was bought by WME from the Zuffa brothers, they brought the entire UFC roster to the Red Rock Hotel, gave us a long weekend worth of activities to do in the hotel room. One of those activities was from, I don't even remember who it was, but it was a famous YouTube guy. And his job was to give a seminar about what it takes to be successful on social media. Because UFC, more than any other probably sport organization in the world, wants you to get as popular as you can on social media. They want that exposure. All my amateurs, all my pros, I tell them, get on Instagram, get on Facebook, get on TikTok, get on Twitter. Just start talking. Get people communicating with you, because the UFC loves it. MMA, combat sports, love that. They love the personalities. So when he was in this interview, he told us, whether you win or lose, people will talk about you. They will say good things, they will say bad things. Mostly, they're going to say bad things. And that's a good thing. You want them talking about you always. You want, under every circumstance, your name to be on the tip of their tongue. You want your social media to be in a way that people are talking shit or happy for you. Every time you win, they'll be happy. Every time they disagree with you, it'll be mean. You want that, because if they're talking about you, that's a good thing. It's probably a little different for the commentators. Well, the way they are spoken to is probably a little different than the commentators. We all know at this point, I had and have, although Tony Ferguson is fighting me for it, the worst streak in UFC history. I had either 8 or 9 fights without a win. Given I think I won 4 or 5 of those fights. I think I was robbed more than once. And a lot of those fights were pretty good fights. I beat Ryan Spann and Darren Young and Wellington Turman. Anyways, after every fight, I would get a lot of comments saying, hey, you know what, we used to have it, good job. And then I get a lot of comments saying, you're the worst fighter that's ever been, you're an embarrassment, what do you have on Dana? Well, I'll tell you what I have on Dana as soon as he lets me back in the UFC. The internet is designed for anonymity. They are designed to make arguments. It is designed to be able to say whatever you want, even if you don't want to. You just want the drama. You just want to be that troll. The internet is designed for that. There are no repercussions on the internet. There's no way to tell who wrote it. There's no way of finding the person who wrote it. Although that is an idea for a TV show I have, just finding trolls and then showing up at their house. Hey, did you say this? Are you user 6189783? I'm smiling Sam. Remember that thing? I think it'd be a hilarious TV show. They'd come to the door with the gun. What'd you call me, son? Hey, you're that smiling fella, aren't you? Jon Anik's hit his limit. It was a close fight against DDP and Strickland. I was at a bar. I couldn't hear a word he said. I just watched the fight. No idea. I heard DC was like big time in the DDP camp, and I don't understand how. Sean won that fight. But Anik, he said, as you just heard, he's huge on social media. He loves communicating. I'm the same way. If people DM me, if people message me, I try to respond to all of them. After a fight, it's the best and worst thing. I'll get 200 messages, and I will try my best to respond to each and every one of them. I'll get 2,000 messages and try my best to respond to each and every one of them. They start off strong, like real responses, and they finish with just smiley face emojis. But I've always attempted to do that because I wouldn't have a job without you guys. Jon Anik wouldn't have a job without you guys. So that he is so willing to converse with you over X, like he said, it's amazing. You guys don't understand how rare that is. And for people to just go out and be mean, say he was biased, he was this, he was that. He was calling the fight as best he could. They all called the fight as best they could. I doubt he had any preconceived notions as to who was going to win. I doubt he had any real opinions as to who he wanted to win. He was just calling it. You get a figure like Sean Strickland, who is probably the biggest draw in the UFC right now? John Jones might be up there. He's on that list of top 5 fighters in the UFC for draw. He lost a very close decision. People were pissed. They reached out at him. Mr. Anik, take it. They're talking to you. They're talking about you. You are on their tongue. They will talk about you forevermore, and you will never think about them again. Don't let them in that space. Don't let them into your mind. Don't think twice about them. For those of you that have hated, my YouTube channel is still pretty small, so it's not a big deal for me yet. I'm sure it'll grow as I grow with it. But the hate I get, more times than not, okay. This is something you guys might not know. I'll apologize to some of the people. I'll comment on MMA Junkie post. And somebody's, oh, you're a sack of shit, or whatever they're going to say about me. I'll message them, DM them privately, say, hey, I'm sorry you feel about that way. I'm sorry if I said something to make you feel bad. And you know what? I'll try and be better in the future. In my way, it's kind of flipping them off, but being real nice about it. And more times than not, they message me back apologizing. They'll message back saying, you know what, I'm sorry. Forget there's real people on the other end of this. It's the internet. It is so easy, and I fall into the trap too. I'm sure you do too. It is so easy to get on there and want to write something bad, want to write something mean like that. It is so much easier than writing something nice. Something nice, nobody will pay attention to. Something mean, everybody will pay attention to, at least the writer of the article. It's something that needs to change that will never change. It's something that we as fighters, we as athletes, we as commentators, we go out of our way to try and add more to the enjoyment of the sport. And most people enjoy it. Most people like it. Some people just want to see it burn. Some people, what was the Batman line? Some people just want to see it burn, Master Bruce. And that's what the internet is. Just a bunch of people that want to make something burn. They just want the argument. It gives them something to do for the next 45 minutes. And that's okay. Because at the end of the day, they will remember my name for the next 50 years, and I will never think about them again. That's at the end. It's kind of the same reason I want Tony Ferguson to win or retire. Because it's my record. It's a shitty record. But 1,000 years from now, it's still my record. People will still be Googling me. So anyways, Mr. Anik, you are my favorite commentator, and you have been since you took over from Mr. Goldberg. I enjoy the way you speak online. I enjoy the way you speak on the broadcast. And I actually just learned you had a podcast with Kenny Florian. I've always liked Kenny Florian too. I know he had that. He copied somebody's email or something years and years ago and kind of got kicked away from the UFC. I enjoyed his commentating too. I thought he was very good. I just discovered your podcast. I'm going to start listening to it more often because I've always liked Kenny Florian. Funny story, Kenny Florian's wife was Clark. Clark was on the same season of the America's Next Top Model that my wife won. There's kind of a connection there. Another funny story, Kenny Florian's brother, I think his name is Keith. I bought a full-sized octagon from Keith. Keith had one of his students drive it out to my house in Tennessee from California. It was fantastic. I think it was like $5,000. I got a 32-foot case. Anyway, so there's some minor connections between me and Kenny Florian. I'm going to start listening to their podcast now. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Be a troll. Don't be a troll. Just remember, there's actual people on the other side of that computer screen. Hey, thank you guys. Oh, Karate Combat. I'm going to be live all night tonight with it. So make sure you tune in and watch. I'll be chatting with you guys and watching some high-flying karate fight in action.